we
And
don't need that at all.
if we're
So that's dumb.
doing just filler news, the Don Cheadle led Armor Wars will now be its own feature film rather than a series.
I feel like that makes sense because we don't want that, so we just get rid
I
of it in
would. I
two
think I
hours.
would. I think I would. What are you talking about?
I don't want that. I don't care
I
about
want
that.
that. I would.
You doing that?
I would be way more interested in that than fucking Miss Marvel.
I also okay. I don't disagree with you there. It's the idea we just need to make movies instead of TV shows.
Yeah.
And by we, I mean Marvel, as if I work for that corporation. If I worked for a
Well,
corporation, you and I would
things
be
would
in
be
a
different.
we'd be in a beautiful studio in Malibu
Yeah.
working together. So,
alas, we are not. She-Hulk.
She-Hulk. Let's reboot.
The episode this week of She-Hulk sees Jen having to travel to Emil Blonsky's meditation retreat camp, where she after being ghosted by Josh, whom she develops a very friendly, close, and physical relationship, gets ghosted, and she is has some group counseling with these different oddballs. Man bull, not mechanical bull. I did like
Beautiful.
That. The
everything.
porcupine. Excuse me, that was an aggressive hiccup. A gentleman who's not a matador, and one of the goons who tried to beat her up. She kind of comes to terms with the fact that she should be happy with both versions of herself, both Jen and She-Hulk, and that was, I think, pretty important. And then we also learn at the end that Josh was stealing her blood, which we kind of got from the stinger at the end of last episode as well. So She-Hulk, go.
Great episode. I honestly thought this was the best episode of the series. I was on a good foot because Haim was the first thing they played. One of my favorite bands. In it is the song "We Are in It." I love Haim, so good. And so to start that off, I felt like we're on a good foot. And then Josh driving a Mercedes 550 convertible, also very cool. Just a cool car. So I like that whole thing. And then when she goes to the retreat, and eventually, initially she is, laying back, just wants to get out of this thing. Her Wi-Fi doesn't work, all this stuff. And then we learn more about her, and she discusses things. And I thought all the side characters were very funny. I really enjoy it. I will just say, like I said, best episode to me of this series. And then we get that weird little ending about the guy stealing her blood, taking that picture of her. I thought this episode felt like a comic book. In the best possible way, where like sometimes you get that weird comic book where like, yes, it has nothing to do with action and it's just a storyline, but the storyline's good. And we learned that Jen needs to connect back to Jen. And then we also realized that there's Sinisters at foot. I thought the humor was good. I thought the music was excellent. I thought this was a 8 out of 10 music episode for this kind of thing. And it just felt right. And I think this is for me personally, this is what the show I wanted all along, where it was relevant in the time and then also relating back. And personally, I really liked this episode. I thought it was really good balance. I like the retreat thing. If you've watched White Lotus, they have that whole thing's about a retreat. And so it made me think of that. No, this show to me, this was, of the 4 shows we reviewed, this was my favorite episode. And I would never have thought that She-Hulk would be my favorite episode based on what we've had. And I thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed this episode.
I did not like it as much as you.
Okay.
I did like the group therapy session. I felt like the being comfortable with yourself plus the projection of yourself and trying to find a happy medium is very in the moment, because we deal with that so much with like social media and things like that, especially women. So I thought that was a good message, that this is what everybody sees. Why don't people like me? Well, it's like, well, it's because you don't like you, and you have to accept yourself. So I did like that. I just don't like the direction that they're taking Emil Blonsky, making him comic fodder. I just think it just doesn't, to me, it doesn't pay respect to that character, because he, as I said in one of the other episodes that featured him, this was a dude that went toe to toe as a regular guy. He was like, I'm gonna fight the Hulk, and I'm just a dude. And so to me, like, that character, villain or not, badass, and he needs a tow truck to carry his balls around, right? But
and I don't disagree.
I don't, and so for that, it's like I just kind of don't like the turn that particular character is being given. And I know that a lot of people were a little bit dismayed when the Abomination did not show up on the poster for the Thunderbolts that was announced and shown pretty recently. It had Ghost, it had Florence Pugh's Black Widow, David Harbour's character, I can't remember his name, the red something or other, Bucky, and Taskmaster. No Abomination. Oh, and US agent.
Yes, agent.
Yeah. No Abomination. And then there was another one that was conspicuous by its absence. But yeah, I don't like the direction they're taking that character. But aside from that, I mean, the side characters, I'm just going to go through them here real quick. Manbull, first appearance, Daredevil 78 in 1971. Porcupine, first appearance, October 1963 in Tales to Astonish, issue number 48. And his abilities are he's a skilled automotive mechanic.
That's good. Hey,
so there's that.
You need your car fixed.
And then El Aguila, Power Man.
I wonder if he fixes Captain America's motorcycle. All seriousness, I bet that's the thing he does at some point. He fixes a Captain America motorcycle.
Aguila, first appearance, August 1979, Power Man and Iron Fist, issue number 58. I do think that we are kind of getting now to the meat and potatoes of this series. Like, there's consistent story through lines that are pushing us towards whatever the confrontation will be that resolves this. But yeah, I mean, it was not the worst episode at all.
No,
not by far, but it wasn't one of my favorites.
I think Emil Blonsky is just setting things up.
Maybe. I mean, that could be.
I think it's him. They're showing him as this vulnerable, and then shit hits the fan.
Either that. My other thought was, and this goes back to the Thunderbolts thing, is he's going to bail her out in some way.
Right.
And then Val Contessa is going to recruit him at the end of the show, and then we'll find out that he is actually part of that team.
So I think it's one of those things where I think they're just doing this right now to kind of sell him more than anything. So
perhaps,
but I like the show, and I like this episode. The show still needs work, but I thought this is more of what I was expecting from this, where it was comedy, and like, she only broke the fourth wall once. But it was a good breaking the fourth wall, where she's like, "You need to know who this is, because you probably forgot about who this guy is."
Because I did, that was good too, and I did forget.
And and so I thought that was actually the only time, and that was the only time she did it, and it was important, and I liked it. So.
Fair enough.